All right, guys, welcome back to the Regal Gentleman YouTube channel at the Regal Gentleman Studio. Today we've got Elliot in the chair. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. How you going?
I'm good. I can't complain, mate. So, what are we doing today? What's the plan?
So, May last year, I shaved my head.
Okay.
Like with a razor, and I've had one...
With a razor?
Yeah.
Like, wow, okay.
Fully down to...
Fully down to bald, yeah? Wow, okay.
I've grown it back, but I feel like the back and sides grow twice as fast as the, as the top. I don't know why, but...
Jeez. What did it look like?
I can show you.
Yeah, show us a photo. Yeah, if you don't mind, man. Yeah, definitely, yeah. You know, yeah. Wow. Jeez. Would you mind just pulling your mask down a second so we can see face you? Wow. What? So bald head and a beard?
Yeah.
Wow. Ginger beard, yeah. And now no beard and full headed with slightly auburn coloured ginger hair?
Yeah.
Ish. Yeah, cool. Very big change, mate. Very big change. Okay, so what are you looking to do with it then? What are you thinking?
So my hair grows super quick, so I think a skin fade only looks good on me for about 5 days.
Okay.
So I'd love for you to make something of this happen, but my hair grows super quick. I'm not super attached to it, so full creative control. I don't mind what you do.
Okay, no worries. So when you say it grows really quickly, do you mean you feel it gets thicker, or you actually see the length growing a lot longer? Because the skin fade, the thing is, a lot of people do think the hair grows really quickly, and it probably does, right? But the only reason why you notice your hair growing much faster on skin fade is because you go from no hair to hair. So the shadow appears quite quickly. It probably doesn't grow much faster than mine or anyone else's. I think you just notice it more. That's what I think it is. So that's why sometimes skin fades, people go every week for a skin fade, is because the shorter you go, the longer you think it looks. Like I go to a 0.5 on mine and this looks long to me, even though it's not long to most people, okay? Some people won't even go this short when they have their own haircut. So I think it's perception, of your own perception more than anything else. But it might grow fast as well, just throwing something, a devil's advocate out there as well. So would you like to go short? Would you like to keep some length in it? Would you like to try a longer length, longer style? What are you thinking? Because I've got a few things flying around in my head at the moment, but what?
I like the natural wave that's in my hair.
Good, that's one thing in my head, yeah.
Yeah, I tend to sort of just, I tend to style my hair with leave-in conditioner.
Sound, nice.
And just, it just goes a bit floppy up this way.
Yeah.
I just feel like this at the back and sides, it's just...
Not doing any favours really, is it? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, can I tell you what's going through my head at the moment, what I'm thinking, right? Because you give me, like you said, full creative control. Now, what I'm thinking would be really cool is I love everything that you've got now on top. Okay, now I'm just gonna turn to the camera. Now, I wanna sort of show, in fact, Liam, could you go in the mirror slightly? Could you go behind me in the mirror? Would that work? Because I just wanna show Elliot as well. So, all this on the top looks wicked right now. If I just hold my hands over the sides of your head, and how much you see the top as it is isolated alone. That length and that curl looks wicked, right? It's just when you let go of it, you've got all this, it ruins it. So by just covering the sides, you get to see kind of what the top is going to be like when it's finished, right? But what we'll do is we'll cut a little bit of the crown shorter. We'll try and leave the length through the front because that curl's wicked. As long as we just connect the sides, since we haven't got all this kind of flyaway bits here, it doesn't really know where it wants to sit. What I do is I just call it kind of like a halo section. I don't know if it's called that anyway, but I've just always called that because basically around the crown, I take it a bit shorter. Because by having shorter length from the crown to like the apex, it allows you to kind of play around with the back. So if it was all just one long length all the way through, it becomes very hard to manage because it doesn't move about, it doesn't kind of flow. It just becomes all long layers and you're kind of stuck with just a mop of hair on the top. Where if you just take maybe from like the apex around the crown and just take that a little bit shorter than everywhere else, it just gives that little bit of movement to the top, okay? It allows you to play around with it a bit more. Keep the length at the front and then take these sort of corners here down a bit, would be quite nice. Back and sides, how would you feel if we went down to, if I was to scissor cut the back and sides, but taper the edges in nice and tight around the very bottom here. So maybe going down just like kind of, I don't know, like a 2 or a 3, very bottom, but just allowing, like the scissor cut is always a good one because you can pick the length and I like the way it kind of falls with the scissor finish. But what it allows me to do is it allows me to keep a bit of weight through here and then I can just cut it right in to balance. So I think it'll bring out the face shape, your jawline as well. I've just got that image of what it was like beforehand. Anyone watching this and yourself, if you want to watch this back, if you don't mind watching yourself back on camera, you'll see, you can pause it when the mask comes off and you can see the face shape that I'm working with, all right? So yeah, I think scissor cut it nice and short as we get down to the bottom, and then I'll just use a bit of clipper over comb just to really taper that in, but try and maintain a bit of length through these corners here, but just so everything balances into the top. Is that all right?
Okay.
And then through the top, I don't want to texturize it too much. I think I'll use the section and pattern to create the movement in the top for you, because it's got that curl. It's a little bit finer texture as well. The back is so much thicker than the top. It's like that on most people, to be fair. But I think the top, I think if we create the halo section and then we just work through and add some different types of styles of sections to the top, maybe working from like horizontal and then into vertical, it will kind of give that movement and texture in the top anyway. All right, cool. All right, let's get you gowned up and started then, mate. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the horseshoe section because I want to, with the top, like we spoke about before, this front bit here is great. I just need to balance it. I just need to connect it a little bit more into the sides. And then obviously working a bit shorter on the crown. But the main focus today is the back and sides. So by isolating the back and sides with the horseshoe section, it gets at the round of the head. We can balance and shape the sides and the back. And it just lets me focus on it a bit more as well. So I'm going to start with that. So again, starting from the right hand side at the recession point, I'm going to work back and drop it down below the crown. Like so. That's right on the round of the head. Now the crown on Elliot is on the right hand side here. Okay, not a double crown, single crown, and it just flows out. See? Just a very bog standard crown, very easy to work with. I'm just going to drop that down like that. Lift away the hairline with your fingers, get on the recession point and match it to the back like so. Now I'm just going to dry off the sides a tiny bit just because I'm doing scissor over comb. I don't want it too wet, okay? It's a little bit too wet for me. There we go. So I'm just going to finger dry it. Again, I don't want to dry it completely, I just want to take the edge off this, just a little bit too wet. Using my size 5 comb, this is a Matador Saw Cut 5, okay, this is my sort of go-to scissor over comb comb. Just because I just find it's got the sturdiness and the sharpness, that it's not too bendy, and it just seems to hold the hair in place really well. I've tried other combs and I feel sometimes they're a little bit flimsy, you know, they don't really hold up, pick the hair up. I think they're just very steady and it's got a good point. Same reason why I use it, I like it. Goes down to a number 2 length as well when you get down to the crown, which is always good. I'm gonna take a fair bit off this, but I still want to maintain enough length that I can connect that top bit into there. So again, if we look at how much length I need to just be able to get my fingers to it, then I can connect the top, okay? Starting here, slide in, slight elevation, and cut. Now we've got to keep the sections very tight. If we don't keep the sections very tight, I'll show you what will happen. If I do a section down here now and cut it, what you're left with is like steps. And you see that? So you're left with like a shorter, long, short, okay? You've got to keep the sections very close to make it really seamless. Like so. And that's what creates a very nice graduation. Just getting closer and closer to the neckline. Now, again, with Elliot's neckline being so sparse and quite curly down the bottom, going very short on this is a really good look because it'll strengthen up his neckline. There we go. I'm just going right down to short as I can with the comb. And we're just going to cross-check through like that. There we go. Guide again. There we go. Slight elevation to maintain some length and let it lie flatter over the section underneath. And then just work in the same pattern as I did before. Using the guide from the right-hand side there and the guide coming through the comb. Just getting closer and closer and closer to the neckline. Get closer and closer towards the ear now. try and worry about down the bottom. I'm going to use the clippers on that anyway. But a clipper over comb when it comes to tapering. There's one side done. Now, if you look in the mirror, that's the shape we've created there. So as you can see, sitting a little bit more fuller towards the top, and it's coming nice and lean. And with that coming lean and square at the top, that will cut right into his jawline. Okay, so it comes down and then in. That's what we're looking for. So there's my guide, elevation, and cut. Again, using a very large scissor, like these ones, is perfect for scissor over comb. It covers such a big surface area, keeps more consistency in it. If you're using a small one, it'll take you a lot longer. And I think the consistency levels aren't always there. So if you're starting to work on scissor over comb where you're getting a lot of clients with longer hair asking for scissor work, invest in a decent pair of large scissors. Okay, they get a bit of getting used to, but you know, get a mannequin, spend a week using a bit of scissor over comb and you'll be fine. Look in the mirror, and that's matching both sides now. Cool. Now I'm going to use my trimmers and I'm going to graduate this down to kind of like a 2 in length, okay? Which is why I use different size combs, because this goes down to a 2 in length when pressed against the spine of the comb is pressed against the scalp. And so obviously I'm going to graduate that down into like what we'd say like 6 millimeters in length. So I'm going to just shape the temples a little bit. I'm not going to cut into it. I just want to strengthen them up a little bit, as you can see. Like so, just strengthen up that side bend, give it a little, kind of frame the face a bit more. What I'm going to do, just start from underneath, about here, right? Just going to start to blend this down, as short as I can get with this comb, to give a really nice taper. Like so, and just cut that. So just mimicking what we did the other side now. I'll work on tapering this now. So working up from just below the occipital bone, and I get closer and closer and closer to the bottom. So I'm completely flat down, like so. I'm working up and off. And just use the clipper just to create that taper. Well, that's the back and sides pretty much done. What we're going to do now is focus on the top. Just let that fall out to the horseshoe, and we'll work on this crown. So I want to maintain the length towards the front, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a section just in front of the crown. So when I mean in front, I mean more towards the apex. And then I'm going to start taking the sections a bit shorter. So maintain that length at the front there. We'll connect the corners in, but let's take a section from the back. Fairly thin section. And let's take that a little bit shorter. So I'm going to take it about that much shorter. Because then that way we've got all that length underneath to be able to move around and curl and whatnot. Is that okay with you?
That's great.
Yeah, cool. Just nice, sharp, it up. And there's a guide underneath, working it straight up. And pull it straight up. And then what I'm going to do now, my sections are going to get slightly wider. As I'm leaving more length, I'm going to pull everything back to the apex. So you'll still remove length, but you'll gradually get longer towards the front. So it won't just be short, then long, okay? Pull that back. Take a wider section. Pull that into that section you just pulled back. Like so. So you still take little bits off, but just by the time you get to the front, nothing will come off. Bring that back to the apex. As you can see, nothing comes off, okay? But what we've got is a nice graduation from short to long, not just like short then really long. See them again now from here. Taking this on the corner now like so. So you've got a guideline from here and here. We've created squareness with the scissor work. So I just want to take away this harsh corner here. And pull everything back into that section. There we go. Set it back so you know where it is. Last but not least, all this fringe. And you can see nothing comes off. I'm doing my work horizontal. So we're working like a horizontal section now. So taking a section through just above the round of the head where we took our horseshoe. And just bringing this straight out, not dropping it down, just bringing it straight out, okay? We've created the squareness, I want to elevate that. There we go, there's a guide underneath which will create our squareness. I'm just going to club cut it, not point cut it. It's purely about shape building, but I like to keep it nice and sort of strong and structural on the sides. We can point cut into it a little bit. There we go. So that still sits in that square shape through there, as you can see. Right, take a section diagonal down to the front, because again we want to maintain that fringe, like so. Tiny little bit there. Pull it right out. Slide cut in like that, just to connect it a little bit more. We'll maintain some of that length as well. There we go, take that much off. Working up to the apex, remember? And we pull everything back. All the way back to this middle bit. You see not much is coming off. Now final section, which is the front, pull that right back, and nothing comes off. So we're staying consistent in our texturizing. So we're staying consistent with our sections on top. And by doing this, kind of working up through the top, we're working from the middle to the right to the left, and then horizontally through the sides. It's creating texture just with the cutting method, okay? Don't need to then start thinning it out or anything like that at all. We're just going to create this texture just by doing this. Straight out now. Here's our guide. Guide. There we go. Pull it straight out. Straight out. Just in case anything hanging over, we want to leave that fullness at the front. And that won't be noticeable when we come to style it. There's the top section there. And you just cut that through. Guide, guide, guide again. what I'll do through the front, I'm just going to slide through, just work through here like that. More chunkier texture than using the razor. Like so. I'm just going to add a tiny bit of lift but with the scissors just to help that stand up. So I'm just going to, from halfway through, I'm just going to slide through like that just to help it stand up a little bit, okay? But the reason why I'm doing it with the scissor because I want it to be a bit stronger. Use a razor because it's a serrated single blade. It can sometimes make it look a bit more wispy and curly hair. Just wants to break that up a little bit for him. That's really it. Is that length looking all right?
That's great.
Thanks, man. And what I'll do is I'm going to apply a little bit of clay to this before we style it. So as it's damp now, so this is towel dried now, so it's just a bit damp. Put a bit of clay in, then we use the diffuser to really bring that out. Right. All right, roughly, you know, a pea size amount. Just going to work it through my hands, like so. And then just from the crown, I'm just going to rub it in, just to that towel dried hair, so just a bit damp, okay? Now you could let this air dry, as it is now, and just let it fall, keep that shape in it, or you could use a diffuser and bring out the curls a bit more, all right? So it's your call, all right? But for the purpose of showing you what you can achieve with your hair now, I'll use a diffuser in it, all right?
Awesome.
Cool. There we go. So, I'm going to scrunch through with this now and just kind of scrunch it a little bit. And then just pull my fingers through it because again I want that wave, don't want it too curly. I just want to try and get that product bit dried in and just bring out that thicker texture and just let him wear it however he likes. Just scrunch it through like that. That's all we need to do really. We don't need to add anything else to it. We've dried the clay in and we just worked with that kind of little tussle at the front, working with that curl, just a little bit shorter through the crown. So there's movement that falls nicely into that front. But he can wear however he wants. If he wants to wear it down, he can fall it down a little bit if he wants to. If he wants to just bring it over, he can. Or he can wear it quite curled at the front. But I'd probably wear it more like that, to be fair. Just because I think it looks nice with that curl and that looseness at the front like that. A little bit sort of just lived in, you know, loose, not structured too much. There we go. How's that look for you, man?
That's great, thanks.
Happy, yeah?
You're a legend.
Cool, thanks, man. It's always the hair helps as well, you know, mate. The hair helps. I kind of cheat really, don't I? Because you've got the hair in the first place, so there we go, man. Thanks, man. What's that?
You know, look on America's Next Top Model when they give those really drastic makeovers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Tyra Banks.
I'll take that, man. That's one name I've never been called, mate. I'll take that. I will compare myself to her, mate. Sometimes it's just the right cut. It doesn't matter, you know, like from a shaved head, you know what I mean? You can create something really nice if you just leave certain length or certain shape in the hair. That's what you can create, you know what I mean? Just by finding the right angles, the right sort of shape for the head and face shape and whatnot as well. I can't believe that was a shaved head though, man. That's crazy. There we go. Thank you.
Can I put my mouth down?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, go for it.
That's awesome.
Looks nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome, mate. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.